Previously on JonBenet Today.
I'm Allison, I'm 19, and I'm a personal trainer, but I don't want to have to whip these guys into shape. Even if this guy isn't a professional basketball player, I'm hoping he's hung like one.
My name is John St. Augustine. I'm an evidence consultant.
My name is Ollie Gray. I have over 25 years of law enforcement experience.
If these guys don't clean their teeth, it probably means they have smelly balls. Next.
No, but seriously, if you missed part one of our look into the Ramsey family PIs and their attorney Lin Wood, we focused on the first PI, John St. Augustine. We took a look at his 2016 arrest and eventually the dismissal of those charges against him. But then we also took a look at how he's mentioned that he co-founded a business. We're pretty sure we tracked down the business, and it's called File on Q, a company that provides software that allows police departments to manage their evidence. Now, back to part two. What are you on your phone doing?
I'm busy. I'm doing business. Oh. I got a business now. I'm doing stuff.
Oh,
okay. Well, we'll just do the podcast by ourselves over here.
It's 10 a.m. in Osaka. I got to talk to the people. I mean, I'm selling things to people in Japan, Japanese people. They like it. They like the stuff. Don't talk to me. 1 second.
Okay, well.
Are we recording?
Yeah, we've been recording. But, okay, so, hey, Petty, episode 29.
Episode 29.
We're doing the part two.
I'm not selling Donna's underwear to Japanese businessmen.
Oh, man. All right. Well, it sounds like that's what you're doing.
No, I'm not. Okay. So I'm ready. I'm ready for the episode. Hold on.
what?
Konnichiwa. Okay.
no, I have more questions.
Let's talk about what we're talking about. What are we talking about?
We left out. We were talking about the PIs and Lin Wood. Okay, We left off the last episode where we didn't really get to look that much at Lin Wood or Ollie Gray because we were just so focused on our man John St. Augustine.
John bitch Augustine with his fucking with his shady tactics. He's like a used car salesman of a lawyer stuff, and he's got that company, or he's affiliated with that company that is trying to have all control and hide the corruptions of basically like the chain of commands for things. Which honestly,
he may have co-founded a company, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. What? Which honestly, what?
Well, I mean, you know, he doesn't have a very big brain, so he can only probably co-found like 1 or 2 companies his entire life. It takes a lot of, like
brain
Zelda power, like bars and shit. You know what I mean? But anyhow, the John St. Augustine. I mean, he's doing very good for a Peanuts character that aged out.
And he has there was so much involved with him that John St. Augustine is going to extend over into this episode too.
Really?
But we're also going to be talking about our guy Ollie Gray and Lin Wood. But yeah, we still got a little bit more to talk about with John St. Augustine because we've had a little bit of a development here. So, you guys ready to get into it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, Teddy, you okay?
Yeah, I'm just looking at Donna in complete disgust because I don't think she contributes anything to anything. And honestly, I think she slows us down. I think she may be intoxicated. And I also think that she needs to leave her underwear out in more public areas because I think she's wearing the same pairs of underwear for long days. Which
No,
people
I
pay
never
for.
do that.
People pay hundreds of thousands of yen for that.
Okay.
No, different
All right.
pair each day. Oh,
Sure you do.
I'm not a monster.
Listen, I think you watch your mom make pasta sauce sometimes and you think that that's what you aspired to for your underwear. You're fucking disgusting and gross.
Oh my God!
Wow.
All right.
Keep
Well,
on
hey,
substreets.
I'm Bobby
So
Pavlovsky.
I'm Daddy Ronald Reagan. There's Maggie here.
And this is
JonBenet today.
I'm not even fucking Italian.
No, listen, meatball. Okay.
No,
listen. I see what you're doing with your haircut. Do you know she got a haircut though?
Is that a haircut?
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't come out great.
You're like JoJo
So I just kind of have it like tied back.
That's like
high when I
JoJo
let it.
Si-WaWa.
I was like, yeah, just go for it. Just do it. And
She
I
smells like cold
regretted it.
cuts. Yeah.
But that's what you get when you go to cost cutters.
Listen, just because you cut your hair.
Cost cutters?
I know that men don't find you attractive, but I mean, you got to find a pretty desperate woman, a pretty obese, desperate woman who's probably got caked up mold.
Where's that girl at? Likes forehead kisses.
Who's got that big forehead?
Late night
That
snuggles.
You know, sometimes when these people
Molested by her father.
when you get real fat, you develop like a rhino horn in between your brows.
A horn?
It's a horn. They get hornies. Like that's how like fat women. I'm talking about like obese women.
Oh, okay.
People that use
yeah.
like loofahs to wipe their ass.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Don't you have a wiping problem?
I don't got no wiping
I
problem.
know you
on
say
my-
that you can
don't
reach
wipe.
it, but
You don't got no wiping problem if you don't wipe, Bobby. I kind of make like a bidet. out of well, just depending on what I have, but I like to use 7-Up. I get a 20 ounce of 7-Ups. It makes it sparkle, it sprinkles, and it gets
like shake it up.
Yeah, just shake it up and just let it, and it looks, and sometimes it drops back in the drink, and it looks like there's raisins bouncing up and down.
Oh, God.
But it still tastes good. It don't taste like poop or nothing.
I thought that
and
was cleaning product, not like 7-Up. Like it's like lemon lime.
Why would you assume that Teddy is using some sort of
I don't
cleaning
know.
product?
I was just hoping
Too
for
bad.
that.
Did the bathroom look clean, or did you just see 7-Up everywhere and think,
just
oh,
hopeful.
he's just soaking?
All of her brain cells were in her edges that she cut so she can track herself to some fucking lonely duck.
I mean, you're
I made
still a
mistake.
monster in
It
this
is
story,
what it
though.
is.
Whatever.
Like, my hair will go back. But fuck you, Teddy.
But
Like,
maybe you should become morbidly obese and pathetic and on your deathbed
I'd
eating
rather
yourself to death,
not.
because I think I got a market that could really use your dirty underwears. I mean, your giant underwear, your
My
your
what?
Operation Dumbo Drop parachute panties.
And it's
See,
in
I knew
Japan?
it.
You're
Is
shipping
that
them
what
in
you're
Japan, in Japan.
Isn't that like shipping biohazardous material? Like, is
It
that...
ain't no bio.
like you've been taking my underwears, like and making
not-
money on them.
I'm not taking them. I'm giving them away, Donna.
For money.
Listen,
That's
I'm not making no
making
money from
them.
doing this podcast or from being your friend and your service, guide, your person, your paroles officer or something like that. I mean, I don't know. Listen, I'm trying
How
to.
much money are you making?
I'm making a good amount of money.
Do you even
I'm
know the
making-
conversion rate from yen? Like, I don't...
Well, so that's what I paid Dexter for. So I send out the pennies. Dexter handles the money. He sends them to the people paying the yin and the yangs.
Oh, God.
And then I get a cut that is mostly in types of like assorted fruit snacks.
Oh, no.
Who the fuck is Dexter?
Somebody that's taking advantage of Teddy.
And me.
Nobody's
This is
getting
my
profits from this
underwears.
except for Dexter.
You already wore the underwear, Donna. Just buy more underwear.
So, Teddy, how many fruit snacks are you sitting at right now?
Oh my gosh, I've got about 3 cases
Of
food
the
snacks,
mini ones?
and I ain't got to pay for the storage
not like-
unit either.
They're not edibles. They're like not even like fun fruit snacks.
They're all strawberry and like raspberry shaped. They're the bread 40, Donna.
No.
God, you don't understand continuity at all. Anyhow,
So, Donna needs to buy new underwear and a safe.
No, I think
So-
Teddy needs to buy me some underwear.
I buy
I don't think you
underwear.
want that. I don't think you want that kind
As
of
soon
relationship.
as I said it, I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know about that.
You know how I get when I'm in the
Yeah,
underwear
like, I
section
know,
at
and,
the
like,
Kohl's. I start looking at the other people and picture them in the underwear, and then asking,
walking up to people and hold it up to them, going,
Yeah.
"No, this isn't right."
No, right. Some of these women are old, and they're like Pillsbury Doughboy people, and they've never been touched in the face for like 3 decades, and I just touch them with my thumb.
And they like that.
Well, I just
There's no way they like that.
They like it.
There's no way.
They always react.
Let me see
to
your
it.
fingernails. Jesus fucking Christ!
Why?
I can tell
they
your finger just smells.
don't see the nail.
Is that
When he's
infected?
had a manicure, it goes
It's
over
just a
much
callus.
better. Like
Your ingrown nail on there looks like another bone.
Listen.
It's going. It's like you have ew.
Ow.
You have like 2 joints on your thumb.
Yeah, it's fine. It's kind of a thing that's a condition that's similar to idle hands, starring Seth Green.
I guess it makes him special.
Exactly. And you know what's also special? Bobby's investigative work last week. When it came
Oh,
to that
thank you.
episode was so good,
yes.
Bobby.
Thank you.
We're gonna solve this case.
Amazing.
We're solving the mystery. Everybody who's listening, I know sometimes we like to talk, we like to kind of warm up,
Joke around.
but it pays off to pay attention to us and to support us with your money too.
Yeah, because Teddy's clearly in dire need of it.
I don't need
He's
no-
just getting paid in fruit snacks right
hey,
now.
and I need new underwear. So.
Why do you need a middleman? And also, if you have a middleman, why are you the one talking to people in Japan?
Well, I talk to them, and then they give
doesn't
him the
do
money.
anything. Oh my
No,
God.
he don't live in no. Jack said no Japanese name.
It sounds like you don't need him.
What is he just a courier? Like
He sounds like a broker for underwear, but he sounds like Teddy's getting totally fucked out of this deal.
He
I mean, more
I'm
not more
getting
than
more
you.
He just
fucked
does
out
some
of
of the
this.
things that just get fruit snacks back to me. He may work at a
and fruit
wholesale
snacks,
store.
like not even cash.
Okay.
Teddy,
Well,
my God.
Cash
like
is
we've been
cash
wanting to
is
get
not
the
king,
sidecar. Like,
All right,
we
so
can't
moving on.
receive-
You guys commended me, and I appreciate that. So I think that's also a good time for us to start our fan mail segment back up again.
Fan mail.
So much mail.
Ooh,
Because we like it when
yeah.
people are saying good things. So.
We love it because it's the truth and it's their responsibility.
And positive reinforcement is good.
A lot of these people, they never got the opportunity to understand that their voice had value because their fathers would slap them in the mouth if they said anything about the affair they were having on their mothers.
That's very
And so we're
specific.
putting them in the habit of letting them know it's okay to talk. It's okay to, and we need you. We need you to type up things with your fingers and pretend like it's coming out of your mouth. And you need to be saying the best things about us because that's also the truth. But we
The
got-
engagement helps us to be seen too. So yeah, you comment.
You want this case solved or not?
You like and
We
subscribing.
also appreciate feedback,
Yeah.
like legitimately.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, we do.
What kind of family do we got, Bobby?
So let's just on our latest episode too.
Yeah.
We got some greetings from Australia here.
From Australia?
All seas.
All the way across the ponds.
Yeah.
Ponds, I guess. It depends
There's
on
a
which way you
lot of-
go.
Yeah, there's a lot of water between us and them.
But isn't it really just all one water? Well, let's think.
It is one
Let's
water.
let that sink in.
It's interrupted by the land, and the land was invented by the devil. Oh man! You know, and back in the day, humans used to swim. They used to be like, we were like sea bears.
They were better swimmers.
That's not right. That's not right at all.
We went from fish to humans to land humans.
So Belinda Rose, 8626, says, fascinating. In fact, jaw-dropping. First, I thought the File on Q ad was a joke, but it's for real? Blew my little brains out. Love your show, JonBenet, today. I'm from Australia, and we say thank you for your research and entertaining channel. It always puts a smile on my dial. Which I love that saying.
She's clever.
I've never heard smile on my
That is,
dial.
like, the
She's got big
sweetest.
brains. You got big brains, Miss Rose.
Love
What's her name
you.
again?
Thank you,
Wow.
Belinda. We appreciate you. so
Belinda
much.
Rose.
That's just
Crikey.
Yes.
This ain't a knife. This is a knife. That was really good, wasn't
It's
it?
like a Crocodile Dundee.
It's just
like
like
impression.
that's like just a weird American introduction to Australians. Like they had other movies, you know.
Yeah. Why hasn't there
you're
been no
right.
movie about a Disney movie or something, Pixar?
Oh, the rest
Shut
of
the
us.
fuck up!
There was
Shut up, Donna!
She's right though. There was.
No, you didn't let me finish.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Drink your fucking wine, you Italian degenerate.
I'm not
She's not
Italian.
Italian.
Whatever.
Keep going.
Teddy.
Why ain't there been no Pixar movie about no koalas?
Because there's Kung Fu Panda and it's too confusing.
Oh.
Also, koalas just kind of suck, right?
They don't do a
They're
lot.
pretty good.
I mean, they're cute, but I think as far as I know, they just like masturbate. And
they can't
they're
outrun
dumb.
a forest fire, that's for sure.
No, I know. Remember when they were all dying and they were burning and it was so sad.
They got the WWF
right.
to change the name though. That fucking panda. Oh, that was a panda. Never
That's
mind.
not a koala.
Yeah.
You're
So
the one that
who
gets
cares?
koalas and pandas
Well, that's what I'm
confused.
saying, though.
No
Who
one
cares?
else. Okay, move on.
I forgot. Yeah. All right. Well, hey. Anywho, we also got our good friend of the show, Kelly Jacquin.
Oh my God, I love Kelly.
Kelly.
She's so sweet.
She said a lot of nice things recently.
Okay.
One of them being, yay, I love JonBenet today, and tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that.
Oh, I love that. It
Oh.
was so sweet.
I'm sorry, Donna. You just completely kill all of the energy I
God,
have.
Teddy,
Like, I was
every
about to
time I open
smile
my
and be
mouth, I'm
happy, and then I heard
excited
your
and I'm
voice.
You can
And you're
still
raining
smile.
on my
So
parade.
here's some more warmth from Kelly.
Okay.
She goes, I pray it's you guys that solved this unsolved case. You had me at hello.
Oh, Kelly. See, she's so much better than other Kellys, like Ripa Osborne, Kelly Slater. She's just much better. She's much wiser. She's so supportive. She's the ideal fan. Everybody needs to be like Kelly Jacquin.
And she also commended me in a special shout out, and I appreciate that.
What'd she say about
She said,
you?
Bobby does his research. Bravo. And then also, we have a Christian Nessa who will be on next comment. A little meet cute here in the comment section. He said, hi, Kelly. Nice to see you.
Cute. It's a community.
Oh my God.
They love you, and they don't even know that you've got like a horse cock.
Oh.
They don't even know you're not. His dick is like 9 inches, like soft.
It turns out people that comment on YouTube's are, not that shallow. So that's
Yeah.
great.
I mean, yeah.
Well, Christian, though, he aims a little bit of criticism, but honestly, I don't see it as criticism. And he's actually right.
It's a
but-
Christianism.
Christian Nessa writes, I like your goofing at the beginning of the video, but unfortunately, that's also a reason why most people will never find out how great you are at investigating this complex case. The so-called experts on Team Ramsey were just bad jokes. They either did everything just to please their clients or even enjoyed lying for them. By the way, the whole Boulder area legal circle was corrupt.
Oh, I bet I completely agree with him that they love to lie. They love getting one past the public. That's also what the future clients of theirs hire them for, and they want them to be effective at. And so they get a thrill. They probably do a line of cocaine, and then they get in front of a camera, and then they love to just fucking lie
And they be like, they bought it.
They bought it.
That's their thrill. Like, look, they're spinning it already. My little story.
Yeah, and you can see that type of temperament even when it came to what's his name, JonBenet Agustin's lawyer for that time when he got arrested in 2016. What was that lawyer's name? Iris Itan.
Iris
You know,
Itan,
with her dilated pupils, Iris Itan.
Yeah,
she
they're
you
black.
could tell where it
You
was.
want me to play a clip first?
Yeah.
You want to play a clip of her?
You know what happened to that subpoena? No, we don't need you anymore. You don't need to come. You don't need to come. Because you know what? We're on a witch hunt after McKean and Presley. And now, because you're not going to play with us, we're going to throw your name in there too.
I mean, you see the how it comes off her tongue, and it almost has like an undercurrent, like a certain vibe of where it doesn't ring true. It doesn't feel like there's even an attempt at the truth. It's more so about just trying to persuade you.
Right.
I think, and it's, again, she's hungry.
Yes.
She's a hungry young lawyer, and she thinks, oh, John St. Augustine, this high-profile guy, like, this is my make or break.
Right. And also and I looked her up when I was taking a shit earlier.
Teddy?
Yeah.
Why is it always when you're pooping? I mean, I appreciate that.
Listen,
I guess.
she's got the long dark hair, and I was like pooping, and sometimes I stroke my penis
Nope.
when I can find it.
That's when Teddy does his best research.
Well,
when he's
on the shit
masturbating?
up.
Yeah.
I like how his
shit up.
masturbating turns into just finding out, like fact-finding.
I mean, it's when you
Is that the only way you can come?
sometimes.
Or did you just come and then was like, all right, I guess I'll
Bobby,
look into
I am
this.
so determined and driven to solve this case that I do sometimes on occasion orgasm when I envision the liberation of the truth from the shackles of the lies.
I could have gone my whole life without knowing
It's what people in the Bible do all the time. They come all the time. Jesus came on everybody.
What'd you find out about Iris?
All right, but Iris, she represents this guy named Barry Morpho, who was being charged with murdering his wife. And it was like this whole thing and this was in Colorado, where basically like his wife, she disappeared, and for a long time her body was never found. And then they were like trying to like whatever the fuck with the case. I mean, you could look it up. I'm not a researcher. But then like
What was his name again?
Barry Morpho.
Barry Morpho.
More food, not more food.
I'll try to put up a clip or a headline or something here for you.
Yeah. Donna, I want you to look like Rosie O'Donnell when she's bloated and found in the ocean.
Why?
Barry Morpho, keep going.
Oh, yeah. And then his wife's body was found like 50 miles away in her jogging outfits and shit. And then like as the legal defense attorney and everything, Miss Iris, Ian, she like released press statements and all stuff. And basically there's subreddits where people like criticize like her approach in the way that same ways that people criticize some of the Ramsey lawyers and team approach, where basically you can just tell that they're just trying to spin the facts and they're trying to almost bully you, and they say the facts are, but they're not necessarily talking about actual facts.
After the wife's body was found, she's still spinning?
Yeah.
What is that confidence?
When it's like
she I see it, Teddy.
Was she a lot more confident like before they found the body too?
I definitely think she was, and that's why she's still learning. She's still getting better at representing
what happened
evil
with the
people.
trial?
Well, I don't know all the things. I can look it up when I masturbate next time.
Or not wipe, I guess.
But it seemed like it was something important with the wife having changed in a jogging outfit before being found dead. Then that goes to show that she was home. She changed into an outfit where she would have not necessarily, she would have left the house but not been in a car. But then instead she's mysteriously found 50 miles away. I don't know all the things.
So you don't even know how it ends?
No.
What the fuck? We can't bring that up and not say
Whatever.
it.
All I'm saying.
He had to have been convicted, right? Richard Morpho?
I don't know.
Donna, look it up, please.
It happened more recently.
Hang on, yeah.
But people, I just found it interesting that people on the internet, especially in the forums, like the Reddits, they read the things. I don't need to read it.
Morphony?
Morpho. MORPH. Which, Donna, you need to check your pH levels because you smell like a battery.
Oh my God.
Oh, I see it. EW.
EW. Like ew. Donna's pH
Thanks,
levels out of
Teddy.
sync.
So sweet.
That's okay. It's all
That doesn't
right.
come up with shit.
It doesn't matter, Bobby.
Yes, it does. You can't bring up that she represented somebody in this case against his wife. It's still ongoing.
It's ongoing, Bobby.
Okay.
Oh wow.
So it's Suzanne Morpho.
Maybe that can be our next
one to
case.
follow.
Yeah, probably not.
But anyway, Christian, I also understand what Christian means when it's like, people may be turned off by, because they're discriminatory against our personalities and our freedom, and the styles of our podcast. And I mean, I think that's their loss. I think it's if someone can.
I mean, I get it.
I get it.
You win some, you lose some.
You know,
it is
I can
what
see
it
how the work
is.
that I'm doing is getting buried.
It's getting buried.
Oh no.
What do you mean, Bobby?
No, don't do that to yourself.
You guys like it though. I appreciate that.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, just know that this is the only thing stopping Bobby from killing himself.
It means a lot to him.
Don't ever
Like a
stop
lot.
That'll
listening.
help that count.
Don't ever stop listening. One day I will not be friends with Bobby no more, but you must because
Me?
Yeah, because
He's my
Teddy's
uncle.
totally my rock.
Donna, you're not going to live very much
We're
longer.
blood.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
One day you're going to be a memory and you're going to be a bench in a park that gets shit on by a homeless person.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I'm just saying.
All right,
What
well-
are the fan mails we got, Bobby?
All right,
What a
so
sweetheart.
moving over on our Patreon,
Yeah.
our newest member, Hot Stuffin',
Oh, yeah.
their response to the latest episode was actually responding to Teddy in the comments. A, don't fire Donna. 2,
Oh my God.
Teddy,
yes.
you are my new best friend.
Aww.
Thanks for the shout out, guys, and all the info. Can't wait for the next episode. Keep trucking Hot Stuffin'.
Hot stuff.
Oh my God.
Love it. Love you.
You're so sweet, even though
And
you're wrong.
somebody finally, somebody has responded
Thank
for
you
Donna
for coming
before,
to
but
bat for me.
yeah, we appreciate
I
that.
appreciate
Take
it.
a bat to her
Teddy
ugly
can shove
face.
it.
Can't wait to pull her teeth out so she can make sounds.
Thank you, host.
So then going back over here to YouTube, we got the KC Suge, the KC Suge, Shug, maybe it's Shug, the KC Shug, the KC Shug. Yeah, that's probably it, because Shug Knight kind of thing. In response to the last episode in the file on Q, he goes, here's the password, police. Go ahead. Delete whatever evidence you want.
Exactly, right? Right. It's like, you know, here we are, we rely on chain of custody, evidence, and transparency and everything. And then you got a company that's like, oh wait, we have a business model, and also they also already work with like dozens, if not hundreds, of police departments all across the country, which I can only imagine is already terrifying, a prospect of like, oh, here's like an unaccountable like sort of method and way, an easy way for you to faster than ever delete evidence that you don't want there to ever be used against whatever you desire to happen, Mr. Law enforcement people.
So much hinges on that, though. Like, there's so many cold cases, and it's just, that's so awful.
I mean, it's just, it's terrifying to think in a George Orwellian sort of a Brave New World kind of way of like in the future when you go to trial and you're supposed to have a fair and quick and speedy trial, like the fact that like at some point that can never be pinpointed, that someone in the process of the law side of things can just remove any evidence that hurts their case against you or supports your case too much, and you just have, there's nothing you can do about it, or nor would you know what they had maybe even had in the first place, you know?
To shoehorn in then something that I was going to bring up, but there wasn't really, this is a better place to do it. There was two specific examples I had found of companies that have that software that have, you know, mishandled or had improprieties with like evidence recently.
Oh, really? Like police departments?
Police departments. One of them was a lady in California, because San Diego County uses their whole software. She was exonerated, but then she basically ended up suing the California police, the San Diego police, over evidence handling. Basically that she claims that a wrongful conviction was the result of police misconduct and San Diego Sheriff Department officers and crime lab employees' suppression and mischaracterization of exculpatory evidence in police reports that pointed at other suspects, including forensic evidence which she claims was not made available to herself or her attorneys during her trial. Something that's supposed to be super easy through that software where everybody can just, you know, share all the evidence, or, you know, hey, maybe make this file
so easy.
A little invisible. And then we also had the Miami Police Department, who also, they've been using this software since like 2011.
Oh my God.
These are big cities to be using that.
Right?
Like,
this one was one of those instances where we were talking about with the fires, how they sent these things to be destroyed. 3 of these officers knew that one of the things was going to be destroyed, and they went in and they just basically went to the crate that had all the stuff and took the stuff the day before it was supposed to be destroyed.
Oh my God.
They caught onto it was drugs.
Oh my God, they took the drugs.
They caught onto that pretty fucking quickly. So.
Oh wow. Yeah, so. It's a scary proposition to think that it's like who watches the watch peoples, you know? And it's like, okay, so like this company that is quickly adopting, you know, being adopted by police departments all over the country, like they literally, this company makes more money the better they're able to just do their role. And their role is to just make it so that whoever has the password, basically, and without the light of public accountability and scrutiny, can just with the click of a button, just delete any records or manipulate
just
and
make it disappear.
Change the timestamp and like, do all that shit. You know.
And guess who I found through going through the Wayback Machine archives to their like old representations of the website? Who was one of their original clients? This was back in about 2010-ish.
Don't say it's a Sesame Street character.
It's not. I think it's actually worse though. It's the U.S. Department of Homeland Security.
Oh,
what?
Not Homeland
was
Security.
One of their first huge clients was the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, which is weird because they don't tout them anymore as a thing.
Yeah.
But back in the days of, the early websites and stuff, that was a thing where it was used by them.
Oh my God. That's so fucking strange, especially like when anytime anything is related to like a federal like department that handles things that are related to like law enforcement or, just like policing and stuff like that. Whenever that information then gets like put in like a, it gets memory hold and disappears. Just kind of like when like Donald Rumsfeld talked about all that money that was not accountable, like trillions of dollars.
Green zone?
The day before 9/11 happened.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
And then it was like no one ever talked about it, and it's like, I'm not saying that JonBenet did 9/11, but like, but it's weird when it's like, did okay, it's case in point, real quick. In Europe, I think it was in Germany, basically these mobsters, they were using this like kind of like a WhatsApp. They were using some sort of encrypted sort of thing, whatever, because they had a history of like no one could, get into their messages and shit like that. But without them knowing it, years prior, the entire time, the company had been bought by the CIA in America and was just a CIA backed sort of thing that had the auspices of being a public company that then was touting a claim that in reality it was completely opposite. That's why when
what was the claim?
That you could have conversations and no one could ever get into them, and you could delete them and there's no record, but the entire time they were all saying everything.
And with this software, it's a thing of like people thinking like conspiracies have to be so vast, and it's like, or could it just be this third-party company that has this software that is now a backdoor into all these police departments, the Department of Homeland Security, and it's a thing of, it doesn't have to be this grand conspiracy. It can be as simple as this person.
Yeah.
They don't even realize someone's in there. Like,
right. It could just be the toothpick that puts the cheese and the meat next to each other. And it could be that the Homeland Department, Security, they fucking like, had reached some sort of agreement with this company so that this company could keep appearing to be a public, public sector kind of company, when really it could be maybe even be a way for the Homeland Security Department to control the police departments. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? It could be a way to circumvent the federal separation of powers and shit between federal and states.
Or it could be an FBI thing. It could be a thing where a different agency, because they don't communicate as much as people think they do. And it could be a thing of like FBI wants a backdoor into Homeland. CIA wants a backdoor into Homeland. This software is a thing of, this is your case. Anything you have in the case, everything relevant to the case, all available in one place.
In one place.
And it's searchable, it's digitized. It makes it so much easier to search through case files, but it also makes it so much easier for anybody to do that. To see what the case, like if you got, as a lawyer, for the defense, if you have a backdoor to what the prosecution's got, like it's you can fucking refute whatever, or even to take it even a step further, if you can go through and delete stuff that they've got, where it's just now missing.
When also think of the contract. If you're a police department and you buy access to this program, you're currying favor with the people that you just paid money to. So it's like one of those like quid pro quos, where it's like, oh, here's a contract for this thing, and most of that money is just going to a few fucking dudes. And then when the time comes when I need to use this program to do whatever I want to do that maybe I don't want people to know about, you're going to give me preferential treatment because I'm giving you money and I'm helping you lobby the government and doing all this stuff to grow your business. And it's like, justice should not, imagine if like judges could be bought like even more easily. You know what I mean?
Why buy the judge, when you get the evidence for free?
Why should law enforcement and lawyers and everything, and like why should they have more access to like public companies or things that are outside the third branch of government?
I mean, if you have money, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, this just seals that further for me. Like, it's just like, it's awful. Like,
and that's why we
and so many people like have gone to like prison over like stuff that's just like disappeared, and like, I mean, things that could have really mattered in a jury.
Yeah, and that's while they're figuring things out. But now they understand that there's like broadband and fiber and there's 5G. Now they understand that like, there's apps, and now they understand also that like generations are growing up that have always had cell phones and internet and things like that. When I was younger, around the time I was watching Home Improvement for the first time, we were much more concerned about privacy and things and protecting ourselves. Nowadays, people just see it as a component of life, where they know like when they have a birthday, they just put a birthday photo on the Facebook thing. But what they don't realize is that there could be like an AI company that is taking all their pictures and everything. And then one day, maybe 20 years from now, someone could just a police department maybe even could just create like a security camera footage using an AI model of you doing something that you didn't really do, but then put it in the chain of command. And then when you try to even show like, oh, like this is fake or whatever, I don't know, they could have doctored logs that show like, no, this was actually like from this time and we picked it up when we did the evidence search or whatever. They can completely create like and distort and And you know what I mean? Every
Yes,
aspect
absolutely.
of the whole thing, when it used to be tangible, like discernible, sort of factual pieces of evidence, now it's more so just lists or items in a list that's held in an app that can be like a playlist on iTunes. A song can be deleted or added or remixed and shit, and they can just do all that without anybody being able to know they're doing that because
No
they're the only
oversight.
ones with the access to it.
Zero oversight.
And it's also a very basic looking software, like a CRM
Right.
software.
It looks like a
It's not-
background check website. It didn't
Exactly.
even look like anything like.
It's just a CRM kind of software that's sold. And if you look up the original name of the company of what it was founded under was Integrated Softwares Solutions. Okay.
Okay.
And basically, if you look that up, you could see, like, if you just Google it right now, you'll see a bunch of like police departments because they have to publicly report, the payments and shit that they make. So you'll see a lot of things if you like Google this, where you'll see this payments to it. You'll see like PDFs that are like paying it.
Oh, yeah.
These people are paying like up towards to like $750 a month to use this software and stuff like that.
That's crazy. That's more than 3 pairs of Donna's underwear.
And it seems the payments seem to vary depending on departments too. And it's probably based on what package they use too, because they have the whole evidence on queue, the file on queue, and like mobile on queue, and all this stupid little stuff. But so that leads us to then our final fan mail.
Yeah.
Which this is very relevant. So on our Patreon page, one of our great members, E4 is here. You might remember him as
Yes.
our JonBenet Jeopardy champ. But E4 is here, wagered $0 and did not answer the question.
That's a strategy, people.
Oh shit. So E4 is here, takes it actually.
Oh my God, E4's here is the winner and the recipient of the grand prize package. Oh yeah.
Who will be returning for
He's amazing.
for the upcoming Jeopardy one, which by the way, sign up if you guys want to be in JonBenet Today Jeopardy.
JonBenet, Jeopardy.
Sign up.
Sign up below.
Make
We
it
got an email,
interesting.
JonBenetToday@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Let us know you're interested. So E4, he did his own research, which is what we love about our community on Patreon too, where it's a thing of everybody helping out.
Yes.
And so he was dead set on trying to find a connection with John St. Augustine and the file on Q. Because as we left it, basically it was a thing where, based on the article I saw, he mentions basically this company where it's like he developed this multimedia software for judicial systems. He co-founded it. Co-founded it, okay?
Yeah.
So E4 is here, looked into the file on Q company, and found that he can't find John St. Augustine's name on it. They're based out of Washington, like in Seattle.
A different state.
And it was started in 1998, according to their articles of incorporation.
Oh.
I think they were an LLC in 96, so a couple years before that. But they finally became incorporated 98. He couldn't find John St. Augustine's name on any of the things. And again, that's a thing where at that time, John St. Augustine would have been working for the police department. So you can't be publicly, associated with that. And also I think it's a thing where he lent a portion of his technology that he developed as far as like when it comes to the evidence on Q stuff, because his stuff was just for the courtroom presentations.
Okay. So like,
And I think the way he's partnering with it is basically being a consultant. But I wanted to look even more into this because this was very fascinating, and it's like I also want to find like a paper connection.
Right. We're doing an investigation, everybody, and we're trying to get substantive facts. Sometimes things have to be insinuated. You got to read between the lines, but then that just also means that you can be inspired and be a good audience member, like E4 is here, who really cares about this dead little girl and gonna murder us all.
And yeah, to his credit, like the only mention of him saying that he co-founded a company is from this one Guam news article, which Guam's his home country. So it was a thing of like, was he just talking himself up or whatever kind of thing? But then it was like looking more into File on Q, and it gets a little trickier because again, they started as a company called Integrated Software Solutions.
Integrated Software Solutions.
And if you look on Colorado's Secretary of State website to see if there's a company like that, maybe they incorporated themselves there too. You'll find one that was incorporated in 1993, but none of the people listed are the same people that are involved with the other one.
There's an Integrated Software Solutions that was incorporated in Colorado in 1993. When in 1993?
In September of 1993 is their articles of incorporation.
Okay.
So what ended up happening was it was like, okay, maybe this is a separate company because it's a very interesting company. When you look into it, they're in a certain building in Colorado Springs and suite. A building and suite that houses so many other companies. One of them is called like Integrated Building Solutions. One of them is called like Integrated Financial Settlements. And so it seems like it's a weird, there's no way all these ghost companies are running
all these
actually out of this same office, right?
They've all got three
You
words
just put
in
the
the
address
name.
down.
They all
You
got
can put
integrated
whatever
in
you
there.
want.
But I couldn't connect it to the Washington company again, because it's again, Washington one started in 98, and so it was back to like square one on that.
Oh.
Then it's going to look at the LinkedIns of the people involved with File on Q now, doing a little bit more digging. One of the owners now is a guy that bought it with his firm last fall. There was a firm that basically outright purchased the whole company, so I'm sure some people made money on that.
Oh, yeah.
Including our boy. Then the two other people, there's one guy on there, his name's Kim Webley. His shows that he started with the company, he was a co-founder in 1996.
Kim Webley.
Kim Webley.
Kim Webley. He started
it.
They started, Bobby.
Co-founded in 1996.
1996, okay.
Okay. But the one little outlier to this whole thing was their COO. Her name is Becky Harris. Looking at her LinkedIn page, she outdates everyone at that company by showing that her start date was September of 1993.
What?
Which is the same exact month that the Colorado Springs company was incorporated.
Oh my God. And it was like 5 years before the company was officially incorporated.
Is she the one that's like, whatever with John St. Augustine is like, he said he co-founded it with somebody, and it's like, is this the other?
It doesn't say the other person.
But they're not listed as co-founders either. Because again, people don't understand too, this is what happens in the business world. Like people on the board aren't necessarily the people that started these companies.
Or they don't even work physically there.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
That's so. I mean, for what reason would in her storied legacy of all of her career achievements and positions, would she place that she worked for this company since 1993?
3 years before anybody else.
3 years before it was even fucking the LLC was made, and then and 5 years before it was officially like incorporated in like Washington, and yet she did the same year and the same month that this integrated security
integrated software solutions
was founded, and in Colorado Springs, where John St. Augustine and Ollie Gray.
Which again, that was the other thing with what I was saying with that building, with all those weird names. Like we got integrated software solutions, we got integrated building solutions, integrated financial settlements. That made me go back and check my notes, and it's Ollie Gray's firm that he set up was Integrated Network Solutions.
Integrated Network Solutions.
But his isn't in that building. His address is listed at his actual home.
Oh my gosh.
But they have, everyone's using this weird little fucking, and I tried to look into the Colorado Springs Integrated Software Solutions to see what the fuck it is they did. You can't find zilch. Whoa. Like the three guys that are involved with it, I looked into, one of them did used to work at Lockheed though. Lockheed Martin, which is the same company that had a controlling stake in John's
software company.
Graphics. That's probably just a coincidence, but I just found it so fucking interesting.
That's like okay.
There's a lot of people on a lot of close quarters.
His name was James Hansen. But then it was, looking into the other two guys, Ted Russo, I believe he's dead now. And then Stephen Dwayne Brown is the guy that owns the rights to the company now, but he moved out to California.
Oh, wow.
But again, still not clear what it is they do. It's the exact same name as the other one. Becky Harris, the current CEO of File on Q, lists her start date, the exact month and year that it was incorporated in Colorado.
Wow.
What a coincidence.
So we're going to keep digging into that one, folks. But I just wanted to, that fan mail was one of my favorite ones I ever got. Because E4 has been helping me out, and we've been going back and forth on research on this.
E4 is determined.
I love that.
But the thing is, when he first brought it up, he was like, this has no bearing on the JonBenet case. I just thought it was interesting. But I was like, I wanted to make it clear to him. I was like, no, I mean, it does have bearing on us as reporting, because I don't ever want to report inaccurate information as fact.
No, that's right.
And it's a thing of like, he definitely has something to do with this company. So we're going to keep looking more into it. But when we looked more into it, it's like, it just went even further.
And that's the thing. That just goes to show that even with all the fucking documentaries and podcasts and people saying that they want to solve this case and people who are maybe complicit in the fucking cover-up or this thing, for decades, we have just been circling the drain of the same fucking things over and over as if almost by design. But here, this year of our Lord, 2024, Bobby and me and this fucking wrench, we are solving this murder and we are solving this case and this mystery, and it requires the help and the support and the investigative prayers and everything of everyone involved. And because E4 just, took it upon himself to use his life to help solve this death and just look a little bit deeper, he put it into our attention, and Bobby and his investigative skills and our analytical abilities, we're already learning more than anyone has ever talked about. And it's one of those things where it's just undeniable, and I'm really proud of everybody, including E4.
Thank you so much.
Right.
We should set up like a Discord or something.
We should.
But all these shady little companies involved with
So
this
shady.
stuff.
I
File
bet
on
if you
Q,
went to
Othram.
them, they're empty buildings. Like, I bet it's just like there's not
The
even
suites-
anyone
yeah,
in the
They're probably like P.O.
For
boxes.
it to be
or something.
running
Right.
like 3 different businesses with similar names out of it, like there's no.
They're probably just one of
fucking
those
way.
office buildings that's got like one,
Right.
like there's one room and behind every door in each of those, like in Delaware, where they like all the major corporations are incorporated for tax purposes. But Disney's not operating out of Delaware; they just have a mailbox there.
Exactly.
That's probably something like that.
LLC.
But for all these companies to have the same fucking name practically and to be built around the same time,
But
including
they're different businesses too.
different businesses, but also they use that integrated and they use systems, whatever. And it's like that goes to show, like that is not a coincidence.
It's all about funneling money and shit. Like,
Making things look mundane.
That's a perfect segue. Let's now look at our next subject, Ollie Gray.
My name is Ollie Gray. I have over 25 years of law enforcement experience. We have been working on this case since December of 1996.
We've gained more information in the last year than probably the prior 4 or 5 years. A lot of people don't really think about, let's go find out who's our next door neighbor. It's not until something big happens that we worry about who are our neighbors.
John San Augustine and Ollie Gray, who were originally hired by the Ramseys in 1999, are now part of a small band of private detectives working without pay, determined to find JonBenet Ramsey's killer.
From the get-go, Patsy and John were the focus of JonBenet's murder. And nobody really looked into the intruder theory.
When you start turning rocks over in Boulder, stand back.
That was Ollie Gray.
Ollie Gray. You think he would sound more musical, like a Sammy Davis Jr.?
Like Jolly? No.
No, yeah, but he's boring.
And also, it's interesting to point out that he says in that video, along with John St. Augustine,
Yeah.
that we've been on this since the beginning, 1996.
Like from the moment that she died.
Which is not true.
Why?
Because the last episode I pointed out, there's the whole, there's that article basically where it shows that Ollie Gray joined the case in 1999.
Which was like 3 years or 2 years after. Because she died at the end of 1996, and in 1999, there's no frame. There's times where it's like, oh, it would have been 2 years, it could have been 3 years, but
And again, they're unpaid, supposedly.
Yeah,
so
what's that
maybe
all
it's a
about?
thing of, did somebody get them hired on the case in 96 that, maybe like Lin Wood? Possibly the
Lin
Ramsey family
Wood.
attorney. I know he's out of Atlanta, but it's a thing of the same with lawyers. You got to hire somebody in that state, and you have to have a private eye license.
Yeah.
In that state, you can't just be bringing Atlanta.
So privately, they could have each been an eye that could have been the eyes to a face that was watching things for Lin Wood while he was in Atlanta, rubbing his butt cheeks on the International
doing the
Olympic
dirty
Committee.
work in Colorado that Lynn's normal people can't do.
Yeah, like 2 henchmen reporting back to their boss who has a robot hand and a cat on his lap.
Mr. Wood,
We did real good for you,
I
sir.
talked to the Globe for you, Mr. Wood.
And see, they do it unpaid, just like I get paid in my red fruit snacks, and there ain't nothing wrong with that.
Well, they can get paid in other ways.
Exactly.
Like, they could oh, we're gonna buy you a house.
Yeah.
Like, imagine no house payment.
Just like if you were
God.
Clarence Thomas,
Come
you're a
out
Supreme Court
to
justice.
North Fox Island.
Apparently nowadays it's okay for Supreme Court justices to be bribed and be given gifts and time
I
for
think you
them
need
doing
to
their
seduce
job.
him. I think it's time. We need
I mean,
to take you to
know.
Supreme Court, and I think we need to get Teddy up there and be like, hey.
It's real easy to drug somebody's drink, put them in a motel with some Filipino little lady boy, and then take some photos and
would
then
have
use
so
that as
much more
blackmail to
fun.
make them do whatever you want.
And maybe
It
they
was
also
so
help
much
you get
more
your
fun.
company off the ground too.
Yeah.
Around
I like his
96
wife,
too.
like,
They all had
like,
companies, remember too.
Right.
These private eyes, so it's a thing of you can be paid through these, separate
Like a
corporations.
vacation.
Ollie
This is
Gray's
how
got
they
the
network.
the very suspiciously named integrated network systems.
What's his
which
name? The
we are-
John bitch Augustine. He wants to make more money too, and he wants to make a name for himself because he's born from the U.S. territory of Guam, and he probably was in poverty, and you know what I mean. He's probably got some sort of like a little man, little dick syndrome. I'm not
Yeah.
saying his dick is little, but it probably is because it sounds like when they do things, oh, we're unpaid. It makes it sound like they're doing it because they're so driven by justice that they don't
Right.
sleep and they don't eat, and you saw
and it makes it look good for the Ramseys too. But also the fame thing though. the profile. I feel like that's more San Augustine.
Yes.
Because again, it's a thing where I think Ollie was more just the behind the scenes guy, where he really only participated in that one documentary and I believe an interview with like Katie Couric. But for the most part, it was Lin Wood out front. San Augustine would, be the other face where he definitely seemed like the hungry one trying to be like,
Yeah, he wants to get his face out there. He wants people to hire
He wants to be Joe Kenda.
Yeah.
Give me my own,
He wants to be on Dr. Oz. He wants to be in, he wants to get hired for corporate conference speakers, things and stuff.
Right, yeah, this fall on Investigation Discovery, John San Augustine's evidence room.
Yeah, he
Like,
looks
look how
like a
good this brown man
politician.
talk.
But
he
we
looks
see
like
in this,
he could be a senator.
and then in cancel culture though, we see, right around that time, 2017, that's where the dude, gets kind of smeared, John San Augustine.
yeah,
But
that was me too.
But again, that's what I'm saying. So Ollie Gray didn't participate in really
No,
any of
he
that
didn't do that
bullshit.
much, no.
He was the guy that we've reported on him before, where he was consistently talking to Globe reporters, basically, feeding them stories.
He had
and-
media connections.
And Globe, Globe is like the Enquirer, right? Is that like the?
It's basically
It's like that.
But that was it was the one that was more on the Ramsey side. The Ramseys didn't like the Enquirer.
Yeah.
They liked the Globe, not
Yeah.
really liked publicly, but it was the one they would
they had a
tolerate.
better
Which was the one
relationship.
that Patsy did an interview with?
The Globe, maybe. What
I
do you
think
mean?
maybe the Globe.
Did she do an interview
When she was
directly?
when she was a little fat later on, she was like, "Oh, even though our daughter's dead, we still have to go on vacation for our family."
Oh my God!
You
I know
remember
what
that?
you're talking about. Yeah,
Like
that
Ollie
was
Gray's
the Globe.
probably-
That was the Globe.
Oh, so Ollie Gray's probably the guy that kind of helps, give that kind of a quid pro quo in the sense of like, you give us this good coverage, we're going to give you this.
Why is a
exclusive
reporter
interview.
out there when they're vacationing away from everything, snapping pictures of them in the ocean, kind of thing? Like
exactly.
Right, like they're normal.
at a
Like,
time that
what?
this is years also removed from the case too. So it's
But it's like they got books to promote. They still got an innocence that they got to project. And also, I just got to say, Ollie Gray, Macy Gray, he strikes me as the type of person where, sometimes when we think of like big bad wolves or bad guys, right? Or we think of like a Batman villain, like a Mr. Freeze. Like they've got really interesting names, or they got like scars or two faces or something.
Yeah, like a story.
And
like a
instead, Ollie Gray, he's just able to look almost just like Mitch McConnell's, half brother. He's able to look like some sort of nondescript sort of Presbyterian church member.
Right.
He looks very innocent. He looks very upstanding. You could see him on a city council or something like that.
A low profile.
blends into a crowd.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to point him out from any other white guy in the 90s that wore glasses like that.
He won't
tucked
even
in their
order a
shirt.
BLT because it would upset his stomach. And so
like,
that's part of the
like
whole
him investigating on his laptop.
Yeah,
this
so
old man, yeah.
so when he so rarely does a media appearance, it's probably only because his image helps perpetuate that, like, oh, we got old gray, mayonnaise sandwich white men,
tenured people.
yeah, people
you
who
know.
go to bed by 8 p.m. whatever. But we don't think of it almost in the sense of like when you think of like Michael Helgoff, you think of that where that was a situation where it could very well be where this guy is a guy who purportedly killed himself in his trailer on Valentine's Night Eve, shot himself through a pillow with his non-dominant hand.
And again, that was right after Alex Kunter's press conference where it's "We will find you."
And that sounds to me like there could have been a homicide. It could have been a homicide that was quickly covered up because who the fuck kills themselves that way, right? So,
Right.
but
The stun gun, the hat that says
So you
SBT,
can't hear us.
SBTC.
it's also so what my mind immediately goes to, you get someone like Ollie Gray, who then you can't tell the people like what the who the specific names of certain suspects are, but if the objective is to move suspicion away from the Ramseys and to create even just a usual suspect sort of lineup of different potential characters, including also maybe having a reward out there for someone's murder, for the capture of the murder, and then maybe even when you're early on in the investigation or early on in the cover-up period, you may even be so what's the word I'm looking for, daring or brave or audacious to maybe go, wait, can we play the game so well enough that we could actually have this random dude who was that dude that got arrested for the
John Kenady.
John Kenady, could we manage to cover up a murder and make it look like a suicide, but make that suicide or that murder victim look like he was the person who killed JonBenet, and in turn make sure that this lowly John Kenady, he's doing the dirty work of even robbing the premises of all this stuff, but maybe even doing this shit. So then when it's his turn to do one sort of like interview, he can go, I told Lou Smith, oh, thank God that you called, or whatever the fuck. When that could also be a lie. It could have been that they put the reward out there for like $100,000 as almost as a cover of its own for really what they're really paying as like a contract killing. You know what I mean?
Well, the award was already around for a long time, but it definitely was more of an incentive.
Yeah.
And I think that it raised Kenady's profile a little bit too, because he participated in numerous documentaries.
Did he?
Ollie Gray basically liked to tout him because he was basically another doubt. Whether or not you could prove it or not, because it was a thing where Ollie Gray even went through the steps. Again, like you said, he had John Kenady, allegedly break into his trailer. John Kenady did break in, whether or not Ollie Gray had him do it. Stole the boots. They turned the boots over to the police. Okay, the police test them, clear it, because at this time they already know certain information that Ollie Gray apparently isn't privy to.
Right.
And again, and even when they clear the boots, Ollie then doubts how they tested it. They're like, how did they even test it? At this point, also, Ollie doesn't know that they've already cleared Michael Helgoth as a suspect because they had his DNA and they already cleared him as not being one of the profiles. But it's still a doubt that even after that information gets released, he just uses it as a thing. And Kenady, till this day, he's not, I mean, even though he didn't get the reward, he's getting something for appearances.
He probably got something,
He's getting something for appearances for sure.
Yeah, and it's also interesting. I mean, so like when we look at that little stupid fucking like 20, 48 hours, what the fuck thing that's got Ollie Gray and what's his name, when they're like, they're in this room that is obviously like when I was a child of the 90s, okay, and when I was watching like a 48 minutes or a 2020 or whatever the fuck, like I would see like the crime scene things where they got the the little plungers and like they got the numbers like on a screen like flashing, or they're in some sort of like interrogation room and it's shrouded in shadow and there's like this very dramatic lighting
like this right here. Why is it dark?
Why is it dark?
You gotta work.
Because it's a set. Yeah. And that's the thing. Because I did not have the media literacy context and a grasp and sophistication, and most audiences to this day don't. I thought that that's literally just like how they're like photographers working in a development lab where it's always red or some shit, where it's like, no, and if you're a detective, you work in a dark room. No, you don't. Instead, they're wearing makeup. Their camera angles. This is a set. This is not their real offices. There is lighting. They're being instructed by a director on how they need to look in order for the light to hit their glasses lenses just right. And that's the thing. Even though Ollie Gray doesn't participate in the stuff in front of the camera as much as the attention-seeking sort of Guam piece of shit, whatever the fuck that guy's name is, Agustin. Yeah. But he still plays ball. He still knew that if I'm next to this younger, whatever the dude, and us together, we look like we're two driven, straight-laced sort of investigators, and that we do this. And people in Nebraska, people in Aurora, Colorado, people in San Bernardino, they're all everywhere. They're all gonna think that you're gonna come away with the same perception that's being pushed by this packaged piece of television journalism, that like, oh, these guys are on the case because they don't believe that the Ramseys did it, and because they're so serious and they're so legitimate and they're doing it for free. And look how serious they look in these little quick clips that were filmed one afternoon, that by some people who probably like chewing fucking tobacco and shit and fucking some hookers after hours. Right. How.
Have you noticed too that it's also that like all those sets too from those times, like the 2000s stuff, like CTU and stuff like that. I've noticed that actually like a lot of modern offices today have really adopted the designs of it's almost like the George Orwell shit where it's like the sci-fi stuff, but in the aesthetics where it's like, oh my God, there's all these glass, rooms, these things that really didn't actually exist in like the late 2000s.
Exactly, right? It's like when something that was like fake, that was, meant to represent something that was real, but didn't actually follow like what the reality was. And then you build a reality off of what was fake, then it just further blurs the lines of
cosplaying.
What are we all doing here?
Well, doesn't know that they don't know any better. They don't know that what they're seeing is like a show, because they're just like, it's technology. I don't know about that. They must. So you just defer.
I know those two motherfuckers, especially Ollie Gray, is not sitting there with his glasses off, looking at that fucking laptop in that dark ass room. Like, you're hurting your eyes, Ollie. Come on. Like, what are you doing?
And so for him to even take a moment for that, knowing that that's actually not what he's doing, but that's the image he's trying to project, also goes to show to me that it's like, it's not really about like him, like, I don't know, like really doing this for the virtue of solving JonBenet's murder. It's more so about him being even just a participant and maybe even just a part of the ensemble of the projection and the illusion that they're trying to create.
They didn't trust St. Augustine by himself, is what I think. For that was.
No.
Like the real picture is him fucking sitting in his car. eating fucking Burger King wrappers, stalking out the 76 Predator,
talking to Michael Jackson,
Lou Smith's list, knowing it's going nowhere.
Yeah, the real picture is him on the phone threatening to kill people if they don't do what he says or some shit, because he's one of those guys where it's almost like terrifying how mundane he is, but he gets shit done. He's like a fixer. You know what I mean?
But he focuses. I think he's also lazy though too, because I think it's the Helgoth thing where it's like, again, you got all these suspects. Because Lou Smith, again, the legitimate guy in the case is coming up with all these people, and they got to be like, fuck, okay, we'll look into it. And when you get somebody like a Helgoth, you're like, guys, I'm so sick of looking into all of these people. Helgoth, it's Helgoth. I'm so sure of it.
He can't defend himself. He's already dead.
Even after he's cleared,
on him.
Helgoth, up to his death.
And here's the thing, because there's two parts I want to say real quick. One, I'm still of the mind that I think Lou Smith's more of a phony than he is of like a fervent believer. I know that he was praying and shit, but again, I don't trust anything anybody fucking tells me.
Reliving glory days is what I think it was.
Yeah, I could see where it's like if Lou Smith, if he had like medical debt or some shit, everybody's got a fucking price. Everybody's got a price where they can compromise their integrity. Right. So that's one thing. The other thing is that what if the Boulder Police Department had a contract and was using the software from the company, something like the one company?
I looked into it. They weren't.
Well, they weren't. But that's the thing. If they were, or if there was an inside access point for the evidence and things to be more manipulated, do we think that there would be so much animus towards the Boulder Police Department? Were they not playing ball with the participants who almost wanted to have, because it's the same reason where it's almost like why do we keep hearing turn the DNA over to the state? Does the state of Colorado have a contract with this company? So if something gets into certain hands, then they can manipulate with it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right, a certain database.
Not just the database.
Right.
I can see it being, I can see that being a thing where it's left open for database. And there was a whole database breach scandal during 97 to 2000, where there was a point in time where the DA had this joint task force that he appointed, where it was basically the Boulder Police and the DA, and they had this basically shared access computer that ended up getting accessed in the wrong way. Basically what that was. So that's where they cut off all contact, that whole task force kind of disbanded. They weren't sharing any evidence. So people were trying to access, and I think it's because they didn't have that sort of backdoor. But again, at this point in time in the case, early, before 2000s, there wasn't that evidence on Q wasn't really a full, thing yet. That
wasn't a full thing, but it still potentially existed since 1993.
Sure. But
and it still could have been something that Ollie Gray was a part of, and maybe what he was known for, and maybe he was trying
John
to...
St. Augustine was
John St. Augustine. Yeah. But maybe it was something... But Ollie Gray still had a similar named company that was around the same time.
It seems like the same people helped them form these weird
it's like maybe that's why they were brought on in the first place by maybe someone like what's his name, the lawyer, Lin Woy, because it's like, wait, these guys have connections in both local journalism and media, and also local police authorities and shit like that, where it's like they were trying every angle they could to almost exert some pressure so they could get even more access to things. So then maybe if something like a Michael Helgoth was what they wanted to go with, just so they could shut this thing up forever, they wouldn't have these Andy Griffith cowboys who actually had a backbone, like what's his name, who eventually resigned. Who was that handsome man that eventually resigned? Who was lead detective on the case?
Steve Thomas.
Yeah. Where basically the people with those backbones were basically the people who got in the way of them being able to just manipulate everything for their clients' ultimate clearance. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't think the ultimate hackers, John St. Augustine and Ollie Gray, they were definitely originally brought on because I think their connection with Lou Smith being from Colorado Springs, and their main purpose when they were hired on was to investigate all of basically Lou Smith's all of the other suspects. And those are the things, that's where they spent all their time. But then again, Ollie Gray was again the behind the scenes man reporting to the Globe and shit like this.
Right, he's still relaying all the information that everyone hears.
But I think there was an inside something. I don't know if it was necessarily through them or whatever, but because again, according to them, they weren't on the case at the time of that whole little breach thing. But there was a definite attempt to view, and see what was exactly,
just like how the
access, or maybe do something with the evidence, kind of thing. So and it breached the trust, and so they cut off. So somebody has been trying to.
It's just like how the Ramseys managed to get the fucking police report information and shit before they actually finally sat down
who gets
and
that?
did the interrogations
and do
with
their
the
first
police.
interviews.
Yeah,
So and it's like
wait, you should re-say that to the people if you missed that episode or whatever. When the Ramseys sat down for their first police interview, the police did not know at the time. We'll play the Steve Thomas clip here.
The police department engaged me to conduct the first official interviews with the Ramseys, and I was, as was the FBI, furious when we learned that they had been provided copies of police reports to prepare for a police interview, just contradictory to everything.
The whole point of the interview is to get their information from them.
That's exactly
To
right.
find out exactly what happened before they're tainted with other information.
That's right.
See, so now imagine if one of these applied or integrated whatever systems or whatever companies had an agreement with the Colorado Police Department, and what if instead of like all the things, all the whatever the chain of custody stuff that it was internal that said that Michael Helgoff or anyone like that was cleared and innocent, what if they were, if they had that back door where they could have manipulated it, they could have easily just deleted or removed any of that kind of shit without anybody noticing, and they could have then propelled, they could have propagated the Michael Helgoff thing, and we wouldn't have known that, like, oh no, the DNA evidence or whatever, like they could have had more control.
Oh, you're saying if they got in?
If they had gotten in,
yes.
maybe, and you know, because they weren't doing that, then maybe that's why they continued to disparage the police department, so that they could try to build as much public resentment against them as possible, so they can then try to get people that they were friendly with them and their objective into those roles.
Right.
You know, it's like, you know, it's one of those things where it's just it's a very cynical, horrible, fucking like circumstance. But these people,
what a weird job.
It's a weird job, and it's a job that you have, like, not everybody's built for. And also, like, I don't think that any of these guys have any sort of they're not Jesus doesn't sign their checks. They're you know, Lin Wood signs their checks or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Still a person.
Checks in quotes, you know.
Right.
They're unpaid, you know.
It could be a
These
double bag.
donations to your, you know, your weird fucking LLC or whatever.
Yeah.
Lin Wood had to find his dirty guys in
Man,
Colorado, and he sure found
that
them.
on a resume, like,
Right.
you know.
Well, fix that kind of thing, you know.
Right.
But and then so again, we got to then 2016. Ollie Gray, you know, just months before he died, made one final little Michael Helgoff again plea where, you know, he spoke to his tabloids. And then it's like at that point they don't even report that he's like in bad health, but then it's just, you know, shortly after that, then, you know, he passes away.
He died.
And now it's just up to John St. Augustine.
He went to hell.
Now, I let you, John St. Augustine was like, fuck, I don't want to have to keep talking to John Kenady where it's like, hey, we're doing this 2020 thing. You down? He's like, shit, yeah, I'm down, brother. Like, you want to come? You can stay with me in my trailer, man. Like,
I don't care that your butthole's brown.
I don't give a shit, you Filipino or whatever you is. Guam?
Yeah. As long as you pump your gas with your right hand like me, then you can get my name.
Don't try any ladyboy stuff with me. Unless you like want to.
Please do not come into my bedroom in the middle of the night and sink your warmness around my fingers.
I might want that.
Put some country crock in my belly button. I don't know. We can get weird. I don't know. Just call me back.
I love butter
Call me
play.
back, Johnson.
Call me back.
But all right. Well, you know, Ollie Gray's dead now, so it's time to move on. You know, across the country to Lin Wood.
He was once referred to as the attorney for the damned. Since the mid-90s, Atlanta attorney Lin Wood has fought for the reputation of people at the center of some of the biggest cases. One of them right here in Atlanta, the security guard who was a prime suspect in the Olympic Park bombing in 1996.
Richard Jewell. That's why we played that clip for you earlier, Teddy.
I want you to say into this phone, there's a bomb in Centennial Park.
Oh.
The Dick Jew, the one you kept saying.
That's inappropriate, by the way. Yeah, the clip with John Hams, where he was saying, what was he saying again? He was like,
"Say there's a bomb in Centennial Park."
Yeah, because like Richard Jew was really like a simple person.
He was a security guard who really wanted to be law enforcement. And so he kept very frustratingly cooperating with the police throughout the movie against the advice of his attorney, played by Sam Rockwell, where it's a thing of like, he just kept saying to law enforcement, like, I understand, guys. It's like, I'm just like you. And in that scene that we played, it's a thing where his lawyer and his mom leave the room real quick, and John Hamm's just like, hey, real quick, we just need a voice table from you. Can you just do the thing where you say there's a bomb in Centennial Park? Like,
oh my God, just so out of his element, you know?
And he does it too. So.
Well, of course he does. He's from the South. He's dumb.
But so I got excited when I was like, oh my God, he was the Richard Jewell guy. I was like, Sam Rockwell played him? No, that's a different guy. Apparently Lin Wood joined it way later. Clint Eastwood did not think it important to include Lin Wood in that movie. I think he probably got miffed by that. But.
Lin Wood, he has a woman's name. He's probably one of those effeminate Southern guys who sounds like really gay and has really like limp
Like,
wrists.
what is Lin short for? Like, what is it short for? Like,
what is Lin short for?
Marlin, Arlen.
Lynching black people?
It's usually like short and like, I don't know. Like,
well, look it up.
You know how there's like blacksmiths?
Lincoln.
That's your
hold
job.
Hold on, let me look. Maybe
it
it's
up.
Lincoln. I don't know. Let me
Stop right there. I like that. So it's Lucian Lincoln Wood Jr.
What the fuck?
Weird.
What in the fucking Freemason
is he a vampire?
is that?
Where the
like,
fuck is he from?
He's some fucking Anne Rice, New
Transylvania.
Orleans.
is this fucking Hogwarts?
My God.
Is he Draco's dad?
I think,
Lucius?
yeah. Like,
Look,
Yeah, Lin sounds a lot less like
they
a
both
bad
have
guy.
white hair too.
oh my God. I hate it.
Oh, so
I
actually,
hate learning about him.
all right, Donna. Glad we looked this up. Lucian Lincoln Wood Jr.
Lucian Lincoln. It was for Lincoln.
So, like, as that guy said, he made a name for himself in '96, apparently representing Richard Jewell after the events in the movie, because that's not really even shown and not important. You hear that, Linwood? It's not important.
Yeah.
So he represented him, and again, it was a thing where they got him coined as the guy that's the representative of the damned.
Defender of the Damned.
And
not
that-
like Village of the Damned or Children of the Corn. Of the Damned is more so like, oh, this is a person. He takes on clients who are being beat up by the media and the press and authorities because maybe they're simple, maybe they're not used to being under this kind of scrutiny.
And I wonder if
have
it's
the
self-coined.
resources,
And I wonder if it's
like-
self-coined too, because again, this was his first client.
Oh, yeah.
Richard Jewell, and again, that was '96.
Uh-huh.
So then, immediately after, his next high-profile client he gets, the Ramseys.
How many Ramsey's parents?
The Ramseys.
Oh
And
my
it's a thing of,
gosh.
is he more of one of those lawyers? I mean, I'm sure he's great in court, but he's also one of those lawyers that's already now the one that's like, hey, you can also finesse the media and go on and talk for us.
Oh, yeah.
Just put ideas in his head.
He likes being in front of the camera, I'm sure.
Oh, he loved being in front of the camera.
A lot of lawyers do, especially like ambulance chasers or people who just like love getting paid big bucks. The more time you're in front of people, the more people that know you, the higher you can bill because you can say that you're really successful and really popular or that you get results or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, he started representing them, and he was, you know, representing them in the press. We go on to 1999. This is post grand jury, and here's one from him that just, this is that term as the kids use, aged like milk.
My little princess. We're back with Lin Wood. Although the governor of Colorado, Bill Owens, has never publicly outrightly called the Ramseys suspects, he seemed to suggest that they should be considered suspects at a press conference held after a grand jury was released. Watch.
I think that based on my understanding of the case, there's a reasonable belief that there was more than one person involved. If I could speak to John and Patsy Ramsey, I'd tell them to quit hiding behind their attorneys, quit hiding behind their PR firm, come back to Colorado, work with us to find the killers in this case, no matter where that trail may lead.
What was the Ramseys' thoughts on?
Let me tell you, that was in September or October of 1999 after a grand jury, 13 months of deliberations and review of the evidence did not render an indictment against anyone, not John or Patsy Ramsey.
Liar! They're not rendering an indictment against anyone. But, well, duh, because the attorney general, the district attorney, he didn't render the indictment. But the grand jury, they wanted to indict.
They did, but they knew that shit was sealed.
Oh my
And they didn't have to worry about that, which I didn't actually know that the mayor then came out and
The
still
governor.
did another, the governor, thank you.
Governor Bill Owens.
I didn't realize that he then came out then and did another thing where he's just like, hey.
That's crazy.
Like,
You know,
pull him
whether,
out.
come and help us. Like, he's still veiled where it's like, come and help us wherever it leads.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's like, but everybody's bound by this, you know, thing where Alex Hunter said, can't talk about it.
Can't say it out
or
loud.
any of the details of the case.
But also, like, it's a game of chicken where it's like, okay, so now, like, apparently, if you're so fucking innocent because you guys are misleading the public, but especially with your lawyer, then it's like, then why aren't you coming back to the state where it happened and to cooperate?
And they're not going
to
to
do is have a
They
good
didn't.
soundbite in front of people. Like, that's it.
I love how he said it because I feel like everyone else has been really careful in the wording, but he was the first one I feel like to say specifically the grand jury did not render an indictment. Where it's like most people have been wasn't enough evidence to indict. They kind of skirted it, but he very specifically lies.
Yeah.
But you know that's the thing, and it helped again. Steve Thomas was still ruined by that kind of information. Whereas like hearing that he didn't know what the fuck was going on. He couldn't believe it either.
They're not all sitting in the cafeteria talking to one another over here on our tables. Everything is is all spread out and compartmentalized, and you know, and it's super secret, you know, kind of stuff. And it's like that secrecy and then also like the secrecy that was built into the whole like structure, the framework of the proceedings, and then the way in which the people who wanted to, even just subvert or like, twist basically public perception on the heels of it, like Lin Wood had the most readily available access to go on Larry King.
Oh, and we're gonna get to Lin Wood's response after too.
Oh.
But first, the next year, well, actually 2 years later in 2001, again, this is when Lou Smith starts promoting, if you didn't watch our Helgoth episode, his whole other suspects theory.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where Ollie Gray first comes publicly into the fold, where he starts being a person that's like, they haven't looked into all these other possible suspects. I just joined the case 16 months ago, which from that article would have been 1999 February. So it was a whole, again, that's where it's weird in that one documentary where he says it.
Like we just got here.
Right.
What?
So, but then this is him commenting, I believe this is on Katie Couric's Today show.
Katie Couric with the butthole. She's got a butthole.
Yeah, you could say that about every. Yeah.
She's got buttholes, Bobby.
Okay, who doesn't have a butthole?
But she showed it on TV.
No, she did it.
Yeah,
who are you thinking
She
of?
put a she put a butthole on TV.
No, that was Matt Lauer.
No,
Donna, I told you to not let him do anything with AI.
And Donna, you're really not contributing nothing to anything.
Well, yes, she
Great,
is.
thank
No,
you.
she's not. She's making Matt Lauer jokes. Like
She
it's
found her phone and Googled the
2015.
Lin thing.
Whatever. But no, Katie Couric, she went to a colonoscopy thing, and she opened up a butthole for people.
Okay, well, again, this is not a thing where I'm gonna have Donna Google Katie Couric butthole,
I'm like, wait,
especially
wait,
since
wait.
I think your phone just died down.
Loki, that sounds familiar though. Like just
What?
because I remember they were like, oh, like getting colonoscopies is normalized, like no
All
big
right,
deal.
yeah, exactly.
you know?
I'm right.
Right. All right. Well, again, so here's Lin Wood on Katie Couric, which again, he would go on Katie Couric a lot.
Katie, I don't believe that the police have ever thoroughly investigated or followed up on, in all probability, any lead outside of the Ramsey theory that they have pursued. A theory that I might add is basically, from what I've learned, based on thin air. The Ramseys are not the only individuals that have been deposed in this case. I have taken the sworn testimony under oath of Police Chief Mark Beckner, former District Attorney Alex Hunter, former Detective Steve Thomas, one of the Ramseys' accusers in his book. And I'm not at liberty because those individuals have claimed confidentiality. They don't want their testimony made public, just as Chris Wolf has not wanted some of the things we've learned about him made public. The Ramseys have not claimed confidentiality, and that's why you're able to obtain copies of their deposition yesterday.
And in fact,
but we've learned a lot from those other, excuse me one second, we've learned a lot from those other depositions. I can't give you the details, but I can tell you this with confidence, that there is no evidence that exists that supports the involvement of John and Patsy Ramsey in the death of their daughter. And this investigation has not thoroughly followed up on many leads of legitimate individuals who should have been investigated long ago.
He's just a fucking bold-faced liar.
He sounds like Ollie Gray. That's what they all. That's the company line for the 2000s. Is that they're not. That took place during the time of the Chris Wolf case, which we had a whole episode that delved into Chris Wolf, which you should check it out because that's a great episode.
I mean, honestly,
twists and turns in that whole.
We are so
Chris
thorough.
Wolf.
We're so thorough. We're like a colonoscopy up Katie Couric's tiny little rectum.
But Lin Wood doesn't have much to go off of there. Just see what he keeps repeating. And again, he goes on the Today Show so much, and they just kind of be like, these people haven't been investigated until they get like a little bit of a olive branch. When, after Patsy dies in 2006, we get to 2008, where Mary Lacy says, based on this new DNA evidence.
Oh, yeah, Mary Lacy.
That she was the district attorney of Colorado at the time and friends with John Ramsey, having these private meetings.
That stupid bitch.
The one she was involved with John Carr flub, where they wasted so much money.
When she gave that speech to the press conference and she didn't know how to say some of the words that were.
What was the? Oh,
God. What was that word?
I'm gonna play it.
We should all heed the poignant advice of John Ramsey.
She's so dumb.
Idiot. But so after she flubbed that, she then in 2008, they got this new DNA evidence that supposedly showed, based on, touch DNA, there was this male profile 1 or whatever, and that exonerated the Ramseys, which again, we cut to later that the current DA or the DA at the time of, 3 years after Mary Lacy was basically like, she shouldn't have done that. That's not appropriate. They're still suspects. She sent a whole letter. Here's Lin Wood responding to the whole DNA exoneration thing, and now grasping on his new thing that he will continue to repeat, which is the DNA evidence in this case.
Okay.
Attorney Lin Wood has represented the Ramsey family for several years. Mr. Wood, what was John Ramsey's reaction to the news?
Well, John was, I would describe him as being extremely grateful for the fact that the investigation is still underway to find the killer of his daughter. Grateful for the fact that he and his family have now been publicly and officially cleared of any involvement in connection with the murder.
What can you tell us about the new DNA test that was used?
They tested the pajama bottoms that JonBenet was wearing at the time of the murder in what's called touch DNA. It's a relatively new science, but it in fact showed that there was DNA evidence on the pajama bottoms that in fact, once profiled, matched the DNA that had been found in her underwear and constituted irrefutable evidence that it's the DNA of the person that was there at that crime scene and murdered this child.
Boulder DA Mary Lacy described it as the DNA of an unexplained third party. Are there any suspects that are now being investigated or considered?
Not that I'm aware of. This case is going to be solved one day by a random hit on the DNA in the database. As you know, many cases that have been gone on cold cases for years, in fact, are solved years later by a random DNA hit.
Patsy Ramsey, as I mentioned earlier, died 2 years ago of ovarian cancer. If she were alive today, what do you think she would say?
I think, you know, I think Patsy would hug everybody. That was one of the sad things when I learned the news today, that the fact that Patsy wasn't alive to receive the letter and to know that her family was exonerated publicly. But I can hear Patsy right now. I'm sure she would have looked over and said, now let's get busy and let's go find the killer of my child. She would have been very pleased that they were not focusing on her family, but were looking for the real killer.
Lin Wood, the Ramsey family attorney. Lin, thanks very much.
Thank you, Katie.
Lin Wood, Manuel Marin.
Yep, there we go. And he got his little, DNA now thing, which he will continue to tout
Touch
for
DNA.
The duration of his Ramsey career.
And
as
how
far
they,
as,
yeah, I mean, a new fucking route to pursue, right? And like a line to fucking, repeat. But also, Patsy shouldn't be hugging nobody. Nobody, cancer is very contagious.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's
Yeah.
not.
She
But I
giving
do.
people cancers.
No, it's
It's
not.
not HIV. No, it's not the same.
That's true. Yeah, it's definitely not. But they're both.
You can get cancer from.
Nope. Nope.
Oh,
That's
no?
not. Nope. Nope.
Oh,
We'll bleep that.
Fake news. Fake news.
I'm
But
sorry. I
it
didn't
is
mean that.
interesting that is. I don't know if this is the birth of the company line that John would continue to use later too. But the Tubi documentary that I watched, there are so many fucking instances of John recounting their timeline. And then they get to a certain point in time and he goes, and he's like, and at that point, the interview's like, what were you guys thinking? He's like, we were just thinking like, okay, let's get on with this case now and find this killer.
All right. Yeah. Let's rumble. Let's go ahead and, now that this is out of the way, let's get serious. Let's get back to business.
And I love it. It's like, that's what Dead Patsy Ramsey would say, which is what John says in the documentary too, where when he even recounts like what Patsy would be thinking after death was.
I think Patsy had the same reaction as I did. Is that, okay, now let's get on with finding the killer.
And it was, yeah, for a second there, I was like, wait, was he surprised that Patsy died?
Right.
I know. I was like, is this the first time he's hearing it? Because I feel like he should have known sooner than that.
I mean, he's
like,
literally
at least
doing the
sent
interview.
flowers.
He's doing the interview
Like,
from his
whatever.
office,
It's
too.
crazy.
It's ridiculous. And it's also, I remember the videos of Patsy being interrogated by the Bull police or whatever. And she's like, she did have that sass about her where she's like, let's find the killer. Like, what, you know what I mean? When she was saying,
you're going down the wrong path, buddy.
And it's like, oh, is she some sort of like Annie, get your gun? You know what I mean? And
Find this killer. But look at all the money. I'm sorry, unpaid investigators, because that would look bad at you. But as I'm saying, look at all the work and effort that's gone into trying to find the real killer. And all roads seem to point the other way, which, that governor right there, where he's saying, like,
Bill
hey,
Owens,
come back and help us either way it goes. And if you're religious people, that's the kind of thing. You like seek the righteous path,
do the right thing.
The governor of Colorado at the time when the grand jury thing happened in the 90s, he's saying there were probably 2 people involved. He's saying it's not just one person. Yet Lin Wood and Lou Smith and JonBenet Agustin and Gary, what's the guy's Ollie Gray?
Ollie Gray.
They're still trying to say, oh, it's either this one guy or this one guy.
To the death. So if you guys want a preview of what's going to happen with John Ramsey It's the same thing. And I'd love to see what's the last thing he touts. Is it going to be John Mark Carr? Is it going to be Gary Olive? Like,
they seem to they sway based off of what they think they can get away with, depending on their audience and depending on, you know, basically the effects of basically like the metastasization of their propaganda based off of, you know, their media sound bites. You know, every
bringing
time
back old evidence to new generations.
You got Linwood. Linwood's going on these things. He's following Katie Couric from network to network. The one clip, it was on the Today Show with her, and then she was like the first woman with a vagina to have an evening news, and it was on CBS.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Right.
so
She
it's like
left,
he's got her manager or her on speed dial, and this is the thing. Most people's relationships with news updates on these cases that span long periods of time, these are done in segments of only about like 5 minutes each. And so when you even get a chance to have an interview, you need to pack your sound bites with as much of what you're trying to portray as possible in terms of even your commentary on the development or your spin on something. And Lin Wood, in a sort of a Perry Mason sort of way, he's very, very good. You know, instead of like Atticus Flinch, he's like Atticus Flinch. Where
he doesn't want to talk. There'll be times where she'll try to ask a relevant question over. There's more than one instance I have that where he basically like, let me finish, but then doesn't actually even get to a point because he knows the segment's almost over of this limited time where you're talking. And I'm sure they're borrowing CNN cameras. Linwood's in Atlanta where it's like, I mean,
he's probably afford a camera. He probably has a studio in his law office.
I'll turn off the lights to make it seem like more.
He knows his angles. He's got his makeup artist. I mean, this guy is a guy who he half of his efficacies and efficiencies is because of how he can get in the media. He's like what's his name? Richard Gere with the gerbils in his ass in Chicago.
I mean, he looks like a...
Remember
that was the same kind
Remember
of
in the musical Chicago?
No.
With Renee Zellweger?
I know the musical.
And
I didn't
like,
see it.
And he's like, he had relationships with Mary Sunshine, who was a reporter. There was that whole sequence called, oh yes, they both, reach for the gun. And he was playing the reporters and the press like they were marionettes, and he was the puppet master.
Oh, okay.
Like, does that.
All right, I'll put that graphic over there.
It's about how you spin it, so then how you develop sympathies for potential jury pools, or also just in terms of like, is it politically conducive to go after someone if the public loves them and already wants them to be innocent? And here you have a situation where this guy, he knows what's going on behind the scenes.
James Carville with hair. He's just a great debater. He can spin fucking anything.
He knows like he has a short amount of time that he's on the air, and he knows that he's got to say the right things, and then once he does and the cameras are off, like no one else is gonna follow up.
That's how he gets paid, people.
Right, exactly. Like done.
Right?
That's it. Like,
so then we move on to 2013 though. Okay, and so then he's got to come out front and center for the whole thing where it gets released that the grand jury actually chose to indict.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see how he spins this.
I want to bring in Lin Wood now. He's an attorney for John Ramsey. He's been involved in this case for 14 years, and he's out front. And Lin, thanks so much. I really appreciate your taking the time. Let me ask you, I mean, the charges that we're seeing in these newly released documents, child abuse resulting in the death of their 6-year-old daughter, accessory to first-degree murder. Why would they release this now?
You know, they released this in response to an open records request filed by a reporter out in Colorado. Without that request, I doubt that these documents would have been released. But I will tell you, the release of these documents, Aaron, is a gross injustice to the Ramsey family and to the public and to our system of justice. We got 4 pages, and that's 4 pages out of an 18-month grand jury investigation that likely produced hundreds of thousands of pages of testimony, evidence, and exhibits. And John Ramsey went to court, and he asked that all of the record be disclosed to the public. Even though the accusation was against him and his wife, John wanted all the evidence to be put out there, and it should have been. That would have given the public an opportunity to see if there was any evidence to support these, what I would refer to as confusing and contradictory charges that were suggested by the grand jury in 1999.
So let me ask you, because, you know, in the document, it says both John and Patsy Ramsey should be indicted for child abuse resulting in death, and I'll read you the direct quote. I know you know it, Lin, but for our viewers. They knowingly, recklessly, and feloniously permit a child to be unreasonably placed in a situation which posed a threat of injury to the child's life or health, which resulted in the death of JonBenet Ramsey. What is your response to that directly?
What are they talking about? What are they saying that John and/or Patsy Ramsey did to place JonBenet in a position of peril? They let her sleep on a floor beneath their bedroom on the top floor. I mean, that's the problem. You really don't know what this grand jury was thinking, and you don't know what evidence, if any, actually supported the charge.
Okay,
So, wait,
so
you said-
let's break this down. Let's break it down first, please. We got to start.
Please, Bobby, break
Start
it
at
down.
the
Break it down,
things,
Bobby.
a lot of thoughts.
at the beginning of it. First, he brings up how this even came out. It's like this would have never came out were it not for this reporter. Where it's like almost like complaining about your work.
Yeah.
Like if you ever go to UDF, they're always complaining about their work. I wouldn't have to be fucking doing this right now if a reporter didn't, ask for
Goddamn, this
freedom.
one fucking reporter creating change by filing a Freedom of Information Act request that was honored.
And then it goes to, it's only 4 pages. What he's leaving out there is that they're the final 4 fucking pages in the indictment, which is the only fucking important thing that we need to know. Did the grand jury choose to indict? And then he's saying, we don't know all the evidence they saw. It's like, what difference does it make? All of the evidence they saw led them
Brought them to
to
that conclusion.
fucking indict.
Yeah,
Right,
to
that's
those
not
4
your-
pages
that's
of
not
them
your
saying,
call.
okay, a felonious degree of neglect and danger in the environment that ultimately led to the death of their child, which also goes to show to tell me that like the jury didn't think that like it was even at the parents' hand. It was more so the environment that they let exist.
Well, they knew their job. They knew that their job was whether the prosecution had enough evidence to go forth with this charge that maybe they did. But the jury knew that they had enough to prove, even if it's a thing where it's like, oh, they actually worse way the Ramseys did it. They knew that the thing was they could get them on the fact that it's like, you still set the situation up where the child could be endangered. And that definitely wouldn't be from what Lin was saying. We're like, oh, because she was sleeping below him. No, that's not it. It's
Well, like,
because of
she's-
everything they fucking heard.
It's like, oh, she's sleeping in the basement. I'm like, oh no, and like also
It's not the
like,
basement. It was
But
the
like
floor
they're
below
just
him.
saying
Yeah.
like, oh, like okay, she's downstairs. Like it just seemed, I don't know.
No, he's trying to make it sound like it was like, oh, because they have a 3-story home that be like there was something of that matter. Like, oh, these juries don't know, like they're used to the kids being on the same floor, whatever. No, but it's really about having an environment where maybe this girl is being sexually abused by her brother or her sibling, or we have to go back to all the things that we uncovered when it came to like all the massive amount of doctor's visits and the signs of just neglect, or even just of basically where JonBenet, even with her bathroom issues, just like rather than being going to a specialist or being given methods in which she can manage it and get out of that behavior, instead she was reprimanded, and we have
Taught properly how to wipe, and that would explain, the abrasions on the genitals.
And I could see in a certain environment, I mean, you know what it's like for women in America, and you know how I can't stand you as a woman and as a human being, but like basically like you're second-class citizens, you're treated like that. And here's a little girl who, while she's being put on the stage and is portrayed as like a future like child star, whatever the fuck, like at the same time, this little girl is not being listened to, and she is not being treated well, and nobody's doing anything about it because nobody wants to give you off the impression that there's anything wrong. And why is that? And then it just culminated at a moment where it was just too late. And
grand jury's like neglect, and that makes sense based on what you just said. That'd be the same thing where it's like you hear it and you're like, even if you guys didn't have anything to do with it, which they know they did, like come on. But it's a thing because that's why they wouldn't have painted it afterwards as a thing of, oh, they chose,
after they heard all the evidence, they were like, this is clear neglect. It's felonious neglect. And then Lin Wood's going, but John Ramsey wants all the evidence out there. And it's like, so he, on one hand, he's pissed off at the one reporter managed to get 4 pages of the conclusion out, but at the same time, he's also trying to blame the jury for not for being confusing, contradictory, or whatever. And then he's also trying to say that his client actually wants all of the information out, but yet we never have seen John Ramsey go on Crime TV or Crime Con or any of these things.
He has said it. But it's bullshit.
He wants all
He hasn't
said that he wants all the evidence from the grand jury released for the public to see.
He has taken on that Linwood little line in Now in the Future. Yes, but it's a thing of where it's just bullshit.
It's just what?
It's just bullshit because
he doesn't do anything for it.
He knows he can say it knowing that the grand jury stuff can't be disclosed. Everyone has a gag order, but in the media he can go around and being like, I wish everybody could see this grand jury evidence. They got to do that whole tour, and it's like, I want that to be out there so everybody could see it and make their own opinion. And it's like, no, you really actually don't. And then Lin, in that same interview, he goes on to immediately pivot to the DNA line now. He's like, what we really need to be focused on here is the DNA in this case. That's the important thing. He immediately, right after that clip, and that's where he pivots.
I mean, they
to the
see
whole
DNA as being like indisputable. Like,
Nah,
you
no,
can't, like, you
DNA.
can't fight it. Like,
They know
it's
that
just
most
like-
people didn't even pay attention to fucking like basic fucking photosynthesis and
Well, they knew that people were also enamored with it, with the CSI thing, and it's like, oh, it's so complicated, I don't even understand. Where even like the DNA in this current case is very complicated, which I'll put the Reddit link in the description below, where they have a great wiki where everyone should go read it, that very much explains the DNA available in this case. But it is a very complicated thing, and you know, if you just throw that out there, that's the whole other umbrella of suspicion thing. It's like, hey, you don't know this, but yeah, another fact about here, we found a touch male DNA, and it's like, it's all just a fucking show.
It's a fucking show to just keep these people from facing justice for their entire lifetimes until literally nothing can ever be done about it.
You're banking
And
on,
it's a good role to have.
You're banking
it's a
on
lifetime
the
role.
memory span of people. Like,
They
and that's like
love it, but it's a
fucking
great
crazy.
money machine. You're gonna have to keep defending, going on the
Which
job.
is why
Like,
we keep
If
seeing these
you've
people.
got if you've
Like,
got a
they
law
just-
license and the ability to practice law, and you are being a defense attorney for people who have a lot of money, who did shit that they are trying to get out of, that money, all that money, and it can grease the wheel for you to be efficient and to do what they hired you to do. And it's one of those cases where not many lawyers out there, I mean, a lot of lawyers, they always believe in the presumption of innocence. And a lot of lawyers will even help like guilty clients and still fight for them like they would if they were innocent, because that's their job. Everybody deserves a lawyer. But Lin Wood targets individuals where he knows they've got lots of money, and he and also maybe he's even friendly with them and social circles.
I don't even think he had a target. I think they went after him because he was high profile.
Yeah.
Defender of Richard Jewell, the wrongly accused Atlanta bomber. How good does that look that it's now his next high profile case is representing the Ramseys? Defender of the Dam. That's probably where it was coined, where it's like.
And who else has he help? In the years since, after putting on his resume that he's been the defender of the damned of the Ramseys and Richard Joes.
Two people scrutinized by the media. As
That
suspects.
goddamn media, that fake media, whatever.
Fake news,
And yet, he loves the media. He's always talking to Couric. And one also has to look. When I love seeing these interviews that are literally years apart from one another, where there he was talking in 2023 to JonBenet about, oh, I can't believe this stuff got out about this grand jury, but yet 10 years prior, 12 years prior, he's saying the jury did not,
exactly.
And it's like he knew what the truth was then. But God damn it, can someone make a fucking documentary of the through line of this guy who is knowingly lying to the audience, and how many fucking, years did he just get away with it?
Doing.
Oh yeah, that is what we're
people
doing.
don't really care until now, Teddy.
We're making them care.
Right.
You're not going to heaven unless you care.
And then we get to it a little bit later. And while, again, Lin Wood was not actually Donald Trump's attorney, he did very much support, his claim that the election was stolen.
Former Atlanta attorney Lin Wood could get his license to practice law taken away. A federal judge referred Wood and the 8 others for disciplinary action. This stems from their role in a lawsuit that tried to overturn the presidential election results in Michigan. Mr. Wood also filed a lawsuit to overturn those results in Georgia. He now faces possible disciplinary action by the State Bar of Georgia as well.
He's like, God damn it, I'm finally facing consequences for all my fucking lying and shit.
Defender of the damned went
He's
too
like,
far,
I'm
where he
cheering
tried
on
to.
this team, and now I'm being talked. Why?
He went too far, and he's trying to defend Donald Trump now. And then it's, spoiler alert, he got disbarred.
Yeah.
He
Icarus
can't
flew
practice.
Too high, too close to the sun.
Too close to the Trump.
Yeah,
And
the orange. Yeah, too close to the orange.
shut the fuck up, Donna.
You
Really,
shut the
truly.
fuck up,
You're not even
Teddy.
clever. I mean, honestly, I
I
wish I had
mean,
a time machine. I
the
could kill
son
your mother.
Trump, that was actually a good.
Oh yeah, that actually was pretty good. Okay,
Thank you,
damn
Teddy.
it.
Yeah,
But anywho, yeah, I mean, but also it goes to show if he's willing to even do that on behalf of Trump, what was he looking to get out of it? Because if they managed to actually persuade whoever, or for whatever reason, like this is the thing with a claim like that and with an effort like that, where there's a group that is assembled almost like an Avengers, where they're like, okay, we're gonna, systematically try to overturn the free will of the American people and the results of a democratic republic, and we're going to try to basically impose a alternative facts and basically do a power grab that goes against the very heart of what America represents. Then on the other side of that, you have an executive branch that is in uncharted territories, where then anybody who was most loyal as like a captain, a consigliere, or in helping the boss achieve that shit, they're gonna be able to do whatever they fucking want to do. And because that's the thing, even with like a potential, God forbid, Trump a second time.
So, but he was trying. You think he was trying to get more access?
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, he absolutely would have been.
Trump though.
He could have probably been Attorney General of the entire fucking country.
Right, but it didn't. And it's like watching the dream fizzle out. But also, speaking of Avengers team, the Ramseys Avengers team, they then lose the Tony Stark with a fucking snap, which maybe it was around the same time as that movie came out. Actually, the end games where it's like they lost it, and now we're just down to, and now we're just down to fucking Ant-Man.
Now we
just got John Cena,
Ant-Man, and the cuck,
and John Kenady, and you just got John Kenedy on screen. We got Ant-Man, Paula Woodward.
What were you doing, John Kennedy, the night that your friend was killed himself? You know what I mean?
He wasn't even his fucking friend.
I don't think he
was
at
hangers
all.
on. But so we got Paula Woodward, Ant-Man, and who else we got?
John Ding Dong.
We got John. We got John
that's
Ramsey.
Ant-Man. I mean, we got.
That's it.
We got Jar.
We got Jar too.
We got Jar. He's the future. He's the son. He's the prince that was promised. And we'll just have to see what.
Well, we're gonna be, and we're definitely gonna be looking into.
It's this ragtag team, honestly, of folks where it's like you got Lin Wood, you got the bad actors,
but
and
we
you got
also
the people
have
that are hungry for fame.
But we also have then the silent partners, which again, this is gonna have to be another deeper dive where we got to look into the Haddon Morgan and Mattson law firm,
even the Lockheed Martins and things like that. I mean, this is the tip of
the people that
iceberg.
investigated or that helped represent Ghislaine.
Yeah.
And then Lockheed Martin. The people, if you look up any conspiracy, you'll find their name somewhere.
Wait, Ghislaine Maxwell?
Ghislaine Maxwell, yeah. She was represented by some of the firm that also represented the Ramseys.
Because this is the thing. There's two different class of people. There's the people that the public even gets to see and hear and know their names potentially, and even pride themselves on like, oh, I'm an investigator because I looked at old news articles. But then there's the people who own the newspapers. There's the people whose names are purposefully never put out in the press. And what
it's
we
hard
have
to
here,
get dirty when you're out in the press like John Augustine.
And what I'm reminded about here, this is a part where what was important about this whole sort of segment and a part of our investigation. And I'm so appreciative, Bobby, of all your amazing footwork with this. And Donna, please don't ever look at me in the eyes again. But but it's because where we have these people who were trying to basically maximize their own personal gain out of the ways they were able to manipulate public perception with this case. We have the people who, these are the fraudsters. These are the people who, they get off on lying.
Getting in the dirt.
And they're also the types where they're because they get so caught up in that egocentrism that they forget that they too can be analyzed. And it was time for us to do that rather than us thinking that analyzing is taking what they say and comparing it to what else other people are saying. Instead, it's about her of like, wait a minute, if you're always lying, then like, why are you lying? Or what are you gaining from it? And we're learning that. It's just like in the episode, the Wood, the Bad, and the Hungry.
Home Improvement.
Home Improvement, season 6, episode 10. You remember this?
Wood, yeah.
With Randy and Tim.
They go to the homeless shelter.
The homeless shelter, and they see Benny. Benny's eating.
His friend.
He's eating sandwiches. But also, this is the thing. Tim did not invite no Bennies to eat at Thanksgiving dinner. And he felt bad. He was like, oh my gosh. And that almost really reminds me of where it's like, wow, these guys, they're investigating for no money. They really care. Maybe there's something true to what they're saying.
Let's invite him to dinner.
And then we find out that Benny ain't no homeless.
No, he ain't.
He don't need to be there. He just likes
the food.
He likes the food. He likes to eat the sandwiches. He's actually taking it from the mouths of other hungry people.
We're feeling bad for him for no fucking
reason.
God damn it, Teddy, you're right.
Yeah.
The Wood, the Bad, and the Hungry.
Oh my God. Look at that. That's a really great title for day.
Oh my God, Teddy. That is actually, yeah, you're right. And like the Wood, the Bad, and the Hungry, like the names, that's such a good
Did I do a good job, Bobby?
You did, Teddy. That's incredible.
Really?
That's what we're going to call the episode.
Oh my God. I made the title.
You did.
Oh.
They should do a home improvement movie.
Shut the fuck up.
JonBenet.